Welcome to the PTTS. Today's day is April 24, 2026. My name is Nang Hong Lam. Today PTTS sessions video is on the follow-up to the previous video, which in that video I was saying that the brainstorm title would be my schedule overall update, like this piece of paper that I was showing in that video, that of the thing that I want to go over, and including the updates is and the title of that video. Pretty much we just felt that that would be like the last video that I would make before I go into intermission, because I felt that it's just I'm colliding, I'm going against a current, or I'm colliding against an opposing force, and that's why I felt like I have to kind of step back and make that video as like a kind of like, in a way, saying that this have to, kind of like have to take a step back and have to, like look, have an overview of what's going on and things like that. Just like keep going against the current, keep colliding against the opposing force. It's might not be the way, it's like, okay, anyway, I paused the video to wear my badge and also turn on the light so that there's more light. Anyway, back to what I'm saying. Pretty much, well, kind of like in a way I was saying that keep going against the current, keep colliding against the opposing force might not be the way, might create more problems. So it's like I felt like there is, like I'm just feel like vibing this, like that it might create more problems, as instead of trying to, like lighten up the weights and have lesser problems and things like that. That's why like I felt should have, like get into intermission and just, just take a step back from all of this while and have an intermission. Pretty much like well, I remember pretty much one thing that I left out was on that video, my schedule overall update. I was kind of like in a way toward the end I kind of like just hurry along and try and wrap things up. So I kind of left out one thing. Basically, it was just at the end of the video, like toward the end, I was going to mention that I was in a lot of pain at that moment when I was making that video. So basically, it was saying right after the video finished, I'm giving myself, like some time to just cope with the pain in my life. So kind of like in a way, that was what I wanted to point out, that like I was saying, mainly like because of the toothache I had that I was talking about in that video. Okay, so anyway, I turn off the light, I kind of paused the video to turn off the light, just like to and like I'm saying, it's pretty much just like like I just pretty much like okay, I kind of paused the video because my older sister, she returned back from the grocery store and she was like talking with family members and things like that. So anyway, back to what I was saying, kind of like in a way, oh, like the light, pretty much I felt there's enough light, and I mean with the light on, it would be brighter, but it just recently like been got complained about the lights while I was recording these video when I speak in front of camera. It's just more light, you could see it clear. That's why I usually make sure there's enough light and things like that. But I got complained about, so I'm being so felt like just to avoid that. So so for now, just turn off the light just to avoid those complaints. Okay, anyway, I just paused the video to give myself like some to breathe, like a breath of air. Just anyway, back to what I'm saying. Um, okay, I was just saying about basically trying to recall where I left off before I paused the video. Pretty much was saying about like like at the end of the video, like I was kind of the previous video on my schedule overall update was saying that I was kind of hurry along and left out one thing. Like that one thing basically was trying to say, announce that I want to give myself a little bit of some time. It just maybe someday to just cope with the pain that I was in because of mainly the toothache at the time. So basically that was I hurry along. I didn't announce that because I ended early and didn't announce that basic. So right after the video, basically just gave myself some days of time to just cope with the pain. And so right now I'm announcing like, but I mean, and I haven't uploaded that video, so pretty much didn't get a chance to go to the North Claremont branch library to upload that video. So either way, like, so right now, pretty much like if you watch this one, but like I'm saying, when I'm uploaded, then it's pretty much. But like I'm just saying, just like that effort, that I'm going through all of this to show that I'm taking steps, is to show the effort that I'm doing the best I can and everything like that. I don't know, like a lot of time in the arguments is with my mother, like she complained at me and I just try to like, you know, tell her, asking her, why you keep complaining at me, and then it's starting to become like an argument and things like that, Like I'm saying, it just pretty much usually like she would toward the end, like or like in the midst of those arguments, she was, but bring up, why don't you find a job and things like that. And okay, so I kind of paused the video to just breathe, have some breaths of air. Pretty much, I'm gonna keep it at my independent company that I have started up on back in 2012. PTTS, basically PTTS independent company. I suppose mean either there's no acknowledgement or it means nothing to the world. That's why she keep bringing that up, in her argument. Because being just occupied by my independent company is equivalent to I'm self-employed to my independent company PTTS. So that is my job. I mean, so pretty much like I'm saying, I'm gonna keep it at no, like the world have no acknowledgement of my independent company PTTS, or it is too insignificant to matter to the world. Anyway, during my recovery / coping with the pain, there was a few days I tried to talk with my younger brother about my situation. Pretty much, just wanted, was just saying that I'm pretty much. I told him that wherever I go, I have to apologize to people, and felt like I have done something really seriously wrong, and also just wanting a chance for people to hear me out in a conference. It's like, so it felt like, so basically I told him that, and since he's my younger brother, his name is Du Hong Lam, I was saying that if he could hear me out, since he's my younger brother, and pretty much like the first day he gave me like 10 minutes to he'll hear me out for like 10 minutes, and then second, and then later on that day give me another 10 minutes, and pretty much I felt maybe that's how the world is, like just couldn't really give me that chance to hear what I have to say, and my younger brother could give me those 20 minutes of time to hear what I have to say. Well, it's around 20 minutes. It's just also divided into like in the morning and then in the evening, and also kind of like in a way have to recap what I said in the morning too. So pretty much felt like didn't really have much time. It's probably less than 20 minutes, even though it's like around 20 minutes, but it felt like overall it's less than 20 minutes. Didn't get to say much. Basically, it was just saying I don't think really get the point across and things like that. Okay, anyway, there's some background activities going on right now. I kind of paused the video. Anyway, I'm gonna continue where I left off. Alright, so pretty much just wanted to take a step back from that also, just like, you know, um, like just don't want to continue with why I don't get it. Why it's so hard for me to get a chance to say what I want to say to a person. Kind of like in a way, kind of take a step back from that for now. Just individual, basically not just a person, like individual or group, but kind of like why it's so hard for me to do that. Like say what I want to say to an individual or group. Okay, there is the elementary school is having an announcement in the background right now. So I'm gonna pause it to listen to what the announcement is. Okay, I paused the video to listen to what the elementary school announcement was saying. Pretty much I didn't really follow, like pretty much it's saying something that I really don't, like I'm saying I don't know what's going on, and even though it's across the street from my house, but not usually involved with the activity and things like that. So but there are times I would hear the announcement and things like that. So not exactly know what the announcement it's about and things like that. Okay, anyway, back to my video. All right, so okay, so basically, like I was saying, just have to take a step back from why it is so hard for me to have an individual group to listen to what I have to say. Kind of like in a way, kind of have to take a step back from that. And all right, anyway, pretty much right now, just focusing on the essential, like the very important things, like um before, like I was approved of the cow flash, which is basically, I talk more, I kind of paused the video to want to look like, I mean I'm not gonna go over what is cow flash right now. This just basically, I have briefly posted up on my PTTS blog that it is like benefit that you get, but it only allow me, like, this benefit allow me to buy food. So before I was approved of the cow flash, there was a period of time, didn't have enough food to eat, and so it was really tough during those times. I remember was like begging my mother if she could help me out, like give me some money to buy some food and things like that. So it was really tough period before I was able to prove that. So I felt, right now, focus on what is important, that, have food to eat is a priority right now and things like that. Basically, okay, so I kind of paused the video because my mother was telling me something. So I kind of paused the video. Okay, back to the video. Alright, I just wanted to add something to the talk that I had with my younger brother, Du Hong Lam. Pretty much just want to say that me, him, and Jason, us three, were heavily involved in the trading card game slash trading card game pioneer slash trading card game commitment. Those, could call it those things. We were very involved in that, and maybe like they have moved on or not, get a chance to talk about it because we were really heavily involved with it. So pretty much that's what I wanted to get to. But like I was saying, the time that he gave me to talk with him, I didn't really get to that point, and it's already ended. So like I was saying, that was something that I wanted to get to, but it was just because of the limit of time that he only have to, that he would listen to me and things like that. And Jason Vivar, me, Do, and Jason Vivar, it's a really close, it's a close friend because we were really, all three of us, like really involved. Like I remember, kind of like I just started explaining why we got separated. It's just like for years we've been so close together and been in the same activity for so long and everything. So kind of like, step by step how we got separated and things like that. And like I was saying, just barely got like about to explain to him how we got separated and the time's already over. And like I was saying, just wanted a chance, to explain, how we got separated and how the misunderstanding break out. Like why something that we cherish so much, got involved so much in our childhood, why it's so hard for us to talk about and things like that. So pretty much, first, like I want to explain how we got separated, then get to that topic, like why it is so important to us and why it's so hard for us to talk about it, and trading card game in general, we want to keep it at that, just to not create more confusion or misunderstanding. It's just like, in my opinion, they might not share as much of that commitment that I have in the trading card game, but they were showing, like I felt like they did show those commitment during those years of time. And okay, anyway, that's something that I just want to add to it. All right, so back to what I was saying. And okay, so back to what I want to say, the essential, the priority, like if I don't have some food to eat, I'm gonna starve to death, and would be, really, starving to death is something that I want to have high priority on it. It's like, especially, before I was approved the Cow Flash, remember, it was really tough, like asking my mother for some money to buy some food, and she was complaining at me, about how come I can't manage my life and can't, have to ask her for money for food and things like that. And it was a really tough time. Like, okay, so for now, just keep it at, just have high priority on the essential, like, like have some food to eat and things like that. Okay, so anyway, pretty much like I was saying that my independent company's PTTS is either no one would acknowledge it, or like the world in general would not acknowledge it, or it is too insignificant to be matter to the world. So it felt like, for now, we, like I'm saying, if the like it that could be why I was in that like couldn't find it in general, like pretty much for I've been just keep it at, this 9 years of time. I haven't got a feedback on my PTTS blog. Pretty much that is a chance for the world to know about my independent company PTTS is through my PTTS blog that's online. And the time, like I would make schedule to each time, I would schedule, I call it a PTTS blog, from months of time, keep it at a regular post so that people would expect when it's the posing day and things like that. So like, I've been trying to organize into the PTTS blog so that it's easier to follow and things like that. And but at the same time, I'm going through all this organization, all this kind of like just extra time, like a lot of time to organize, to get the PTT at my independent company PTTS to the world, all this time putting out. If it is, no one would acknowledge it, or it is too insignificant to matter to the world, the more I put out, the more it's gonna hurt me, kind of like, in a way. Especially, I don't know, what really is going on. Is that the case, or just, like it's saying, that's why I keep it at, for now, just take a step back from all of that. It's like, so right now, like I'm saying, take a step back from all of that and keep it like how my younger brother, only gave me like, I mean, because he's my younger brother, that's why he gave me like about around 20 minutes of time. The rest of the world, probably, it's not like my younger brother, won't even give me that 20 minutes to explain. And anyway, like I'm saying, I'm gonna take a step back from that. Like, just keep. All right, so pretty much, like, focus on the essential. So having some food to eat is one of the essential. And so currently I have a packet to fill out to it's called pronounced as reserve. I sound like the word. Sometimes my pronunciation is kind of off, so I just want to point out that word. And it's called recertification application. So I have to fill out this packet and return it back to the HHSA building to continue having the cow flash benefit. So I have that to basically, that's one of the priority, like I'm saying, it's essential, to have some food to eat. Pretty much, well, even though I have this packet, but I kind of started online at the North Claremont Branch Library computer online. I already started on this packet, but it's in the online form, application form. So but for now, I'm keeping this packet as reference of what it's the same thing. It's the same application, but you get to do it online or like in paper. So you get a choice. So since I already started online, I'm gonna continue with the online application. Pretty much, I remember back on around 2002 to 2003, like similar situation. But back then, I was in my high school year, and I was at the height of leading the trading card game slash doing the trading card game pioneers. So even though it's similar situation, but back then it was at the height, and I remember one of the member in my group, his name is Andy Dallow, and it was like kind of like in a way, felt like trading card game. It's just like another. It's not gonna work out and things like that, and I'm like I'm putting all this, you know, telling them all about this sort of like how like to keep it the agenda, our group agenda on the trading card game and things like that. And remember, it was just kind of like, it's gonna be kind of just didn't win with the group agenda and things like that. So remember, it was just like got up in front of him, it's like, how much I went through the trading card game pioneers for all those years of time, for to able to be today, leading you guy on the trading card game. So me and him got into an argument, and then he started to, like swing his punch at me. We were at the Windy restaurant, remember Andy, like swing his punch at me, and then so like I dodged his punch and tackle him to the ground. It's like we're inside Windy restaurant, it's like calm down and things like that. So back then, I felt like I'm being unfair, unjust, mistreated, and everything, and yet I still continue on taking on this leadership and providing the trading card game enthusiasm and all of that, and leading my group and everything, and yet, Andy here, hate my guts so much that he want to swing the punch at me. So it's like, anyway, that's the flashback that I'm having right now as I'm making this video. Just that flashback of because Andy swing that punch at me and dodge a punch and tackle him to the ground. And we're inside Windy restaurant, supposed to, and Windy restaurant. It's a hamburger joint, like kind of like selling. It's a hamburger, like you could buy a hamburger. It's like known for selling hamburger, like Windy restaurant. it's a franchise that is around San Diego. You can find it. Basically, that was the only way to stop Andy from continue swinging his punch to tackle him. Like I was saying right now, just having that flashback. I think that tackle and that fight, even though it wasn't really a fight, just try to stop Andy from continue swing. I mean, in general, does look like fight, like Andy's taking swing and tackled Andy to the ground and pinned him to the ground, things like that. As much as I wanted to deny it, I felt back then I must have been holding in so long on, it's like I came from nothing, to able to become, like one of the pioneers, like the trading card game pioneer that is enough to, provide you guys with trading card game enthusiasm and all of that, kind of like in a way, it's all coming out of my time and commitment and everything, it's like, and yet I'm came from nothing, it's like, so kind of like in a way, I felt that's why I wanted to argue back that, I'm giving all this time, providing them with all this leadership and time and everything, and yet it's how they repay me back, want to swing that punch at me, and it's like, I don't know, pretty much I felt maybe there's a lot of things that people wanted to criticize trading card game, arguments against trading card game, but for what I know is there has been weekly card trading card game tournament which could be argued as championship official, like I don't know official or not, it is considered as somewhat, could be argued as somewhat some kind of championship going on, it's a weekly trading card game tournament. It's gotta have some kind of championship going on, it's like I was saying, but I remember not long after I participated on the trading card game tournament, like it's in the name of the game at Pacific Beach on Gannett Avenue. So remember, not long after participated, the store owner Chris decided to, that it there's not enough player. They have to discontinue the trading card game tournament and things like that. So remember, told Chris, please, just give me a few more weeks of time to gather some more players, and don't that maybe put a pause to it. It might decrease your business. Not having the trading card game tournament in your store and things like that. So asking Chris for like a few more weeks of time, and so kind of like in a way, I gather up the remaining player and name the game, and explain to Tim, we gotta get words out there about the trading card game tournament and name the game and get it players to come. It's before Chris really gonna discontinue the trading card game tournament. He already announced it to the trading. So I'm telling the player that, and also the same thing at my school. The school I enrolled in at the time is Pacific Beach Middle School. So I was telling some of the student like classmate that I know and things like that, and told them that anyone who wanted to participate in the trading card game tournament, we need a player. It's gonna discontinue, so just keep mouth to mouth, like just spreading the words out there to get players to come to name the game, so that it doesn't discontinue the trading card game tournament. At the time, the trading card game tournament is called Pokemon Trading Card Game. So it sometimes players call it Pokemon tournament and things like that. So like just day after day, just continue spreading the word, telling anyone who wanted to give a chance to trading card game, show some support by coming to name the game, and keep the trading card game tournament going and the game. And so it's a good day. And then eventually, Chris told us that, we have enough player and we don't have to discontinue the trading card game tournament in the named game store. So we remember, like, gave each other a hug and high fives and everything like that. So it's been like that, since day one, since I told Chris, to give me a few more weeks of time to get more players to come to name the game. It's been like that all the way to that day, Andy swung those punch at me. It's like, I've never slowed down, it's been like that. And trying to keep constant, just providing the trading card game enthusiasm to the neighborhood slash community. Pretty much around that time, it's around 2000. So it's around 3 to 4 years of time, that I have went through providing trading card game enthusiasm, trading card game pioneers, trading card game commitment. As for Andy, I think it's just a big misunderstanding. As for Andy, his family is doing the the shipping, fishing slash shipping business, and his father the captain of the ship. So he's, he thought he is the one, the true pioneers in that region because of his family connection and things like that. Maybe it's just big misunderstanding, and he thought, like, I'm like, this person who don't know anything and try to, like, like that, not acknowledge him, like his families have all these connections and everything. I think maybe that could be the misunderstanding. That's why he want to swing that punch at me. Okay, anyway, back to the essential. So basically, that's the flashback that I just want to point out. Anyway, that's saying it's all right. Back to the essential. So I have to finish the Cow Flash application form before, like, saying that I need some food to eat. That's very important. So that's one of the essential. I have to make sure I complete in time. And anyway, another essential is I am also applying for. It's in the same building, like the HHSA building. Also, that I'm seeing if I'm currently in the process. Like applying for the cash aid. Like maybe get some cash also, because the cow flesh only food, like I could only, the benefits only for me to buy some food to eat each month and things like that. So the cash aid would give like some cash for each month to, for like expenses that I need and things like that. So I'm currently in the process of applying for that. So those two, so we basically, like, I just want to make sure I know how to pronounce this word correctly. So for the CalFresh, it's recertification application form, because I already applied it. So it's just I need to recertification. And as for the cash aid, I'm in the process of applying for that. So basically, like, as for the other things, like I was saying earlier in this video, I'm gonna take a step back from all of that and just focusing on the essential that is important in my life for now, and maybe in the future, like maybe, like, first starting from people I know. Like, I mean, Jason Viver, Du Hong Lam and Jason Viver, I felt maybe they were the closest person to me. Andy Dallo, that punch is basically saying that he don't want to continue with the group and things like that. I felt maybe that is more, is in a way, is his, like, he not really want to continue with the group. So after that, Andy left the group. Like, not long, he left the group, even though just telling him, like, to calm down, it's like, so just down to us three, like me, me, Du Hong Lam, Jason Vipar. Like I was saying, that a chance for them to to acknowledge what happened, their memories of the past. That would be like the first step I want to take, like that. Okay, so but for now, I'm just gonna have to take a step back from all of that until maybe things, until, like, let's say, more stabilized, like maybe get through like the cow flash, cash aid, and probably, maybe it's just like, even though, like, I felt like I'm just gonna look, like, turn in for a period of time, just because for a period of time that I don't know, it just, there was this period of time I turned in some, like, a handful of application and got some interview, but never didn't get a job, So I felt maybe people could bring this period of time up and could really, like, hurt my reputation. Why didn't you get a job? You turn all that many application and had those interviews, and why couldn't you get a job? So I felt, that could really ruin my, like, hurt my reputation and things like that. And so, as for looking for a job and things like that, I have to be, just, like, be aware of that period of time that I could be bring up against me, like, why didn't you find a job, turn in all those application, have those interview and things like that. And at the same time, like I'm saying, that the independent companies make a few contract with person who want to be part of the PTTS, me, like, instead of, like I'm saying, that could also be one of them. At the same time, like, that could be a possibility, but right now, I'm taking a step back from the independent company PTTS. At the same time, that could be also be a possibility, it's like, anyway, like I'm saying, I'm gonna be basically those topics gonna bring up, it's like, as I felt maybe when I'm, but at the same time, I'm just doing this job search, just to, for my mother, who's been bring up that, why you find a job each time. Like, it felt either like in the midst of the arguments, or like toward the end of the argument, she would usually, bring that up. So it felt, so I'm just gonna do like a job search, just because she's been just bringing that up a lot. And okay, so the cow flash recertification applications, the cash aid application process, and job search, just, so basically focus on those three essential for now. And anyway, like, even though Andy left the group and down to only me, Jason, and Do and Jason, let's say us three, and but not long, we kind of like have to also separated and things like that. I think mainly because like at the time I felt that I have to, like I was saying, I'm not gonna go through all what happened, just briefly just want to point out, like the main reason that kind of like just have intermissions on what we were doing, things like that. Mainly wanted to, acquire the multimedia field through the college classes and multimedia college classes. Like I was saying, able us to have, like group affiliations, banners, website, media and multimedia slash media in general, those things is part of media, like, so I felt, so that that was the plan, like, and then later on, I felt that I have took these steps, I told Jason, told Drew and Jason about it, and then they also enrolled in the multimedia class, like, remember, for like, I think about 2 semesters, like, and I felt at least they took those steps, and I just didn't want to force them against their will, like I felt it is important, like the multimedia would able them to have those things, like I was saying, like banners, group affiliations, website, like those things in like media slash multimedia in general and things like that. And since I already have some experience in that field before I told them enroll, I could also help them out, while they having those taking those classes and things like that. Pretty much I just noticed that we could run into like some sort of problems with the fund, especially like we want to take on like creating our own website to have that. I felt maybe that could be where the problem might break out, like, so so I remember just, didn't want to push them against their will and things like that too much, and things like, I don't know, especially like, because remember the website we were at, like it's like major company, like it was just really high end website, that we we were looking at, it's like it's there's not, like in a way that we're not comparing with those websites. Is just for now, like I'm not trying to point any website out, but the one that we were looking at was the Sega, the Sega company. Like I'm saying, I'm not trying to just, it's just like a sample, what I'm, so that what I'm talking. Say there's like a mega, this really high end website and all that, and and then the, like, just in the process of studying about web designing and things like that, and seeing Sega website, and I don't know, maybe they didn't really went through, like I remember back then was just really like to kind of like have that intermission separate from our group, but mainly it's just me, Do, and Jason, just mainly just us three as the group, but it would just have that intermission and separate so that I could focus more on the college classes. And like I remember during that period of time, remember like there was a few I had chat with a few of the video game players that I met online, and then after the chat, they showed me their website, and remember I told them that I'm still in the process of studying multimedia classes and things like that. So remember, just I mean, even though so in a way, like I'm just in the process of studying, and even though the the website is very basic and everything, but like at least they already took those steps on web developing and things like that. And so I remember commenting, it's like, at least your guy got started. It was web designing and things like that. And it was just some background activities going on. I'm gonna continue while the background activities going on. So pretty much what I'm saying is just like it's pretty much back to back to back to Jason and Du, who I got like pretty much they went with my suggestion and taking multimedia classes. I kind of like in a way I gave them a suggestion on which one that they might able to get benefit out of it. And so like one of them is the web design, another one the illustration. Like felt like those two could they could get something out of it. Like in the illustration one, like there was a few projects to teach them how to make like business card, so that they can make their own business card and things like, so you save some money. I mean, you could go to like stores that they they make your business card, and now even like I'm saying, just in a way that like essential to the like how as pioneers, anyway, it's kind of off the topic. Like while us three, me, Du, and Jason were enrolled in San Diego Mesa College in the multimedia classes, we bumped to like one of my high school classmate, like Omar, and remember I don't know, like kind of like in a way, and Omar kind of overheard what we were saying and kind of like was asking me if it could help him out a little bit with the multimedias. And pretty much, I felt, well, it's just so coincident that Omar is taking, teaching classes, how to be a teacher and things like that. And, I felt more or less what I'm doing is kind of in a way, providing. But, just, I think in general, just looking at that scene, pretty much there's that whole argument, why don't I just, why not study for like what Omar is doing, like a teaching career, since pretty much, what I'm doing is in a way could argue it as I'm shown, even though it might not see it, people might not want, kind of like in a way avoid the whole trading card game in general, just pretend trading card never exists, doesn't no one mention it and things like that, and just want to see it in general. I'm trying to teach Du and Jason something, and why not just be like Omar, in you know teaching classes, things like it could, like I was saying, just because of that talk, felt like that could be the argument and things like that. I think it's just part like custom and stages of life. There is no ambition. There is no following goals. It's just custom and stages of life. It's like, okay. Anyway, just quickly go over those period of time. It just the multimedia field in general, I felt could have able to improve our, like I'm saying, I haven't really get much feedback. I haven't got feedback on my PTTS blog for 9 years, so I have to keep slashing. It's like either trading card game commitment, trading card game slash trading card game pioneers, slash trading card game. Like trading card game in general, like pretty much like. Anyway, there's these so these multimedia help close that gap, basically, get us noticed. And so I felt it was very important that it's, like I'm saying, just at the same time avoid uh, pretty kind of like in general, just avoid getting like doing something that we that could jeopardize our goal and things like that. Like I felt maybe like the one that I felt Jason, like he, I mean, like, I mean, some of these websites is just part of, like routine, like, I mean, just custom, like you go to, I remember also go to these websites, as, like the Sega website is a huge, it's a international company. Sega is internet, the web, like I'm trying not to point out certain company or anything like that. Like I was just saying, this is a big company known in, especially like in the video game industry, is a known company. And so like this one, like remember following some of the administrator, like the web server, like the guideline and things like that, look through, and certain day they have maintenance and update and things like that. And felt, go through some of the form and things like that, and just that alone, it's like seems like so much work already. And it's like, in other words, just look through the website, any little thing you find out, and you just send it to the server administrator, and they fix it right away. It's kind of like, in a way. And constantly reading through the form, like message that you could send to the server administrator, and it's just like, so this means the website constantly being updated, like people who find certain things that they wanted to improve, or better, or suggestion and things like that. I felt, these server administrator constantly reading through those like messages that people send to them. And I felt like, me alone reading through all those messages is already a lot of work, and have to, and that's just one department. And so that website, that Sega website alone, have so many different departments. And so it felt like something like that, we don't want to get caught up with something like that. It's like, basically I was reading through to for the release day, just real. I found Sega, see what the upcoming title and when they release. I felt that is the most, like, I was just felt at the time that was my main concern, like like when would they announce the release date and things like that. So at the same time, just so happened to read through, like people sending messages to the server administrators, about certain things they wanted to improve, or suggestion and things like that. And I remember back then, when we were isolated and alone, and at the college campus studying all the time. So remember when those video game players that I chat with, just to break the isolations and loneliness. And I remember they showed me those website, and I felt, probably my website, my first website, probably, like for college project, that it'd probably be, probably worse than that. It's like, so it was saying, it's it's a good start. It's just, at least you got started and things like that. So those are the common mama make, but mama just really poorly put together and things like that. And in other words, me probably, like, let's just say us all three combined effort, me, Do, and Jason, and put together a website. Like I'm saying, just that if we did take that step, I felt maybe it, like I'm saying, it's also probably not gonna be anywhere near like those Sega website, like, so like I'm saying, just during that time it's just the Sega that website, because we were following a MMORPG video game which is called Fantasy Star, that it's created by Sega company. So we've been following that like through the website. So that's why, like, I use that as an example, like like I was just saying, I just don't want to really don't get caught up on that, like basically it was saying that maybe we probably won't even meet the requirements slash rubric of just a like a plus college project. Maybe that should be our goal. Maybe just like getting close to the A plus should be our goal, not near like the Sega company website, something like, try not to make that comparison and things like that. Anyway, like I'm just saying, just wanted to avoid certain contact that might jeopardize us on our goal and things like that. And I like meeting Omar. I think that's an exception. It's like, even though I wanted to make that as an exception, but like I was, I was a, I got accepted as a journalist of the Beachcomber in the Mission Bay High School. So remember, even though like there was this lead that Omar jumped off the ship during the senior field trip. Like I was saying, but at the same time, it was like no one really mentioned about me not going on the senior field trip, or like not participating in all the seniors activities in Mission Bay High School. Like I was saying, at the time I would defend myself with, because I'm a journalist, and also because I am doing the trading card game pioneers and things like that. So like I'm saying, anyway, like I'm saying, I think could argue, that incident Omar created could have, for the senior to have something to look back at and things like that. Nevertheless, in the midst of all of this, pretty much, in general, I think I felt maybe we, more or less, our pioneer might not really stand out to get some notice and things like that. I felt maybe, but at least we put out those effort, and pretty much I just didn't want it to end up like that day at Windy, and they swing that punch at me, and like in general, probably not push too much. I felt maybe that because of the felt maybe my leadership might have created too much weights slash being pushing them too much and things like that, for something like that to happen. And I think what I want to say is just that's what we grow up. Trading card game is what we grow up with. It's just what we've been occupied with. It's just like just part of our life. It's like, but like I'm saying, it just as for my group, I just I don't know, like that's why like I haven't really. I think in general, I just want them, like Do and Jason to admit that these were the events that we went through. It felt like instead of, it's just like that there was really no meaning and no diplomacy, no civil, no living together and sharing, just like beating each other up all the time. It's just instead of seeing it that way, it's like, especially with that scene in Windy where Andy swing the punch at me, and it's like, so pretty much after 2 semester, like Jason, Do and Jason, they could see that, I'm just don't really have a lot of power and connection, just doing what I can and try to provide as much as my responsibility and duty as a leader of the group and things like that. It's like, Jason missed the Wizard of the Coast voting, where Jason wasn't there at the time when me and Do and like another friend, we was hoping that the Wizard of the Coast would have the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game tournament. And remember, the Wizard of the Coast staff got the Yu-Gi-Oh player together and make a voting, see if this is something they want. And remember, they did like after like 2 voting and didn't have enough votes, so vote like at least they try. They told us, they'll make another arrangement for another vote to happen and things like that. And pretty much the vote was just keep it at really just Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and Yu-Gi-Oh league. Like I'm saying, I think all of this, this is still at the really beginning. This is like when Yu-Gi-Oh just arrived not that long ago to the imported to the USA. Like these sort of distinction, Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and league still need some time to really understand about these sort of what it means Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and what it means Yu-Gi-Oh league and things like that. I felt it still needs some time to really establish these sort of meaning to it. Like I remember talking with a few of the Wizard of the Coast staff, saying, like you saw me there on the pre-release events and things like that. I've been very supportive to Wizard of the Coast, and I remember having those talks with the staff and telling me, like they would arrange another voting and things like that. See if that's what the players want, like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in Wizard of the Coast and things like that. And I don't, like I'm saying, I'm just putting all the arguments against trading card game, all the criticism against trading card game to the side, and see that it is just it is part of our growing up activities and something that we have been occupied with. So that's just how we grow up in our neighborhood and how we live our life, our lifestyle that was involved in these trading card game. I don't know, maybe because I was too caught up with the Wizard of the Coast voting and things like that. Or it was just big coincidence. Somehow Jason came upon a website that announced that the University City University Town Center, I think, is UTC. Basically that's what we've been calling UTC. I didn't get a chance to really look into it's right, this is around 2003. This is around 2003, so it's way what I'm talking is around. So pretty much I was really busy, caught up with the voting on at the Wizard of the Coast, and somehow at the same time Jason came upon a website that announced it that there is a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament at the UTC Mall. So like I'm saying, it's just so this big coincidence, it's like, why going through so much trouble in the Wizard of the Coast when UTC Mall is already hosting a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament? And it's like, I don't know, like I was saying, it's just because when Wizard of the Coast first having those pre-release events, promotional events, and grand opening promotional events was advertised as one of the biggest gaming store in general, that in San Diego. That's the advertisement, and I felt that should grab some attention and things like that. That's why I was really focused on the Wizard of the Coast, because of following those pre-release pre-opening events and grand opening events. So I was really occupied at Wizard of the Coast, and then I heard Jason saying that at the UTC Mall game rooms they are hosting the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. And it's like, anyway, just doing a quick flashback of how these sort of events is that could just really just all really considered still new at the time. It's like, especially when Jason saw me and Andy fight in the windy because of the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game and things like that. And now finally there is an Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. I think maybe Andy swung the punches. Think I'm lying to him, about the going to have a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and things like that. Maybe that's, I don't know. There could be all these arguments of why Andy swung that punch at me. Anyway, like I'm saying, the voting didn't went through on Wizard Coast. More player wanted to have Yu-Gi-Oh League instead of Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. And I was just saying, it's still very new at the time. In general, I felt that league could, tournament could league and tournament could be as one. Having a league means you could play in a tournament to rank up your status in the league. Kind of like I'm saying it, but at the time, how the trading card game established it, it's still considered as new at the time, and these establishment and I don't know, some of the thing, pretty much, I don't know if they would still admit to have these memories is about trading card game It's like in general, me, Do, and Jason were like the one that were leading players in the trading card game, especially in San Diego. That's where the tournaments that we participated in, the trading card game tournaments. So I felt, if they won't admit to be part of that, it's gonna be hard for me to talk about it and things like that. For now, I just want to put all the argument and criticism against trading card game to the side. That's why I don't want to go through those argument and criticism why they won't want to claim that they had these involvement in trading card game and things like that. In my opinion, I felt that since we all have took multimedia class together, even though for like 2 semester, felt more or less, like get together and make a video on trading card game, talk about our experience in the trading card game and things like that. I felt it is acceptable and things like that, since we were really is part of our life, as growing up and things like that. Instead of seeing that trading card game is a topic that they want to avoid talking about and things like that. So I'd rather see it that, maybe we could get together and, you know, uh, put together videos where we talk about trading card game. I felt that would be something I wanted to look forward to, instead of saying that Do and Jason want to avoid the topic trading card game and things like that. And people who have trading card game enthusiasm, or player who might want to give trading card game a chance and things like that, seeing that video, maybe give them some kind of more enthusiasm, or like inspiration and things like that, to want to give that trading card game a chance and things like that. Like I felt maybe that is something that would help out on the trading card game. And like on the titles of that video would say like, true slash real TC player sharing their experience, something like that. It's like, I don't know, like I just in general, I just okay, anyway, I kind of paused the video because it's very intense. It's kind of just give myself some time to breathe and things like that. Okay, so back to what I'm saying. So anyway, pretty much I just want to say that I don't want to be at a, one of those. I don't know if people still remember about the Whitley Believe It or Not TV show that back then, that was one of the show that was one of the programs that was on the TV that show. And it's like, don't want to be, one of the person in that show, and Whitley Believe It or Not, and talking about trading card game. It's like, especially, like I was saying earlier, that the Pokemon trading card game tournament was discontinued, like was supposed to discontinue after I participated for like about a week of time. What if Chris, he's the store owner of Name the Game, what if Chris, wouldn't admit that he didn't discontinue the Pokemon trading card game tournament and things like that. And what is worse is just, like this really this that I that I'm holding back. I didn't put everything on trading card game. I felt this argument would be worse. Like it's because I was holding back on the trading card game. That is why these these conflicts is break out. That's why it's like I'm saying. That would be like the worst. Like especially why on November 2001. Tell that the Pokemon players in the game, that have to get into intermission. Why? If I wasn't holding back, why I have to do that and things like that. I don't know. Like I remember, Lance was there. Lance was one of the regular player and the game, and remember after Lance heard that, remember like just go through like the table quickly, and just like scoop some of the card into like some card, and it's like, is it because you don't have enough cards? It's like right here, and like hand me those cards, and okay. Anyway, I have to pause the video because that was a really like very important scene there, and pretty much because I was holding the most first places in Name the Game, like at Name the Game at Pokemon tournament, so it's like all the players really recognize that. It's like like a lot of play, even though like it might seem very general, like a player's called Pokemon Master and things like that, but in Name the Game, being called Pokemon Master means you're holding like a lot of first places in the Pokemon tournament. So it's like, like Lance like you're the Pokemon Master and things like that. Anyway, like I'm saying, not trying to make things worse by making fun of that scene or anything like that. It's just I think it's just in general just like admitting, like just talking about it, saying those things, those events has really existed, and like, but I don't know, like it's saying just because of the arguments and criticism against the trading card game and things like that, and maybe one day, get to be at a more official place or like a conference where there's a crowd of people and things like that, then explain it more in detail about what really happened, why November 2001 I made that decision on getting into intermission, and like even though like I posted up my autobiography at my PTTS blog, explaining events is you know not just the trading card game events is all my whole life in general, but there were those events is in it, but like I was just saying that it's just it's their were there trading card game association that have looked at those autobiography before and things like that. It's like I'm saying, just because of didn't really give them at the time, just told them that I just have to get into intermission because of the things in my life that it's that I have to put time into and things like that. So I didn't really give them the the reason that I been holding in. I felt that it would be more appropriate to be at like a conference where crowd people would listen to what I say, those you know to explain about these things is anyway, like I don't know, like why Lance did that, like grabbing those, went through those table, maybe just to go with the scene or something. Like I don't know his reason behind that, but remember, kind of like in a way, he's one of the regular players there. Maybe just to not saying like just that trading card game doesn't mean anything to us. Kind of like in a way to have some kind of acknowledgement. I felt maybe he did that so that, you know, trading card game, to have some kind of acknowledgement about trading card game. And in other words, I think pretty much, you know, like one of the argument is, you know, what if my parents just had a really, I don't know, like let's just say got got being forced it or against their will, or like have some sort of like adversity, you know, some sort of major adversity that happened to them, and they, you know, decided that I cannot participate in the trading card game tournament anymore, you know, just, you know, ground it, you know, make sure that am nowhere near the trading card game tournament. And like I'm saying, you know, something like that. And like I'm saying that I, even though like it didn't happen, like I'm just saying, like if something like that happened, would really make it you know, like it would affect me, you know, even if I try to sneak my way to the trading card game tournament, it would still have a major impact in my life and things like that. And what happened if, you know, like some sort of scholarship or grants, something acknowledge my higher math achievement acclaim that has been going on in my school year, that I have been having this acclaim for year after year for a while already. And you know, just like if a scholarship or some sort of education department acknowledge this, could also affect my life also, you know. It's like, so pretty much, you know, that's the argument. So like I felt that's like, how could I really show my dedication to trading card game if I have those arguments as against me? Pretty much, you know, if the education department or scholarship acknowledge my higher math achievement and claim, it's like, you know, probably I wouldn't, that's the argument, you know, probably I would have left the trading card game, you know. It's just like, I felt these were the more very serious arguments is that I remember vibing at the time. And also, you know, if my parents have a major, you know, really try to, you know, make, you know, took those steps to make sure I'm nowhere near the trading card game tournament, that could also really affect my life. So I felt like those arguments is, you know, oh, what if my parents decided that I have to be an international student and transfer me to a different continent or country to study and things like that, you know. It's like, and you know, so that could also affect my trading card game tournament. So as much as I wanted to say, you know, like I not holding back on the trading card game and I'm giving everything I got to the trading card game, but there's those arguments is, you know, what if your parents want to make sure you are nowhere near the trading card game, or what if your parents want you to study at another country or continent, or what if the scholarship or the education department acknowledge your higher math achievement acclaim. Or like I don't know, this one might be controversial. So pretty much like, or just like trading card game company in general, you know, just wanted to promote me, you know. It's like to be like in commercial and things like that. That could also affect my trading card game tournament also, and things like that. I mean it seems, yet at the same time it seems reasonable, you know, since I'm having the most first places in the name of the game Pokemon trading card game tournaments is, and a lot of player really noticed that, like really seeing that and acknowledge that. So it felt like that could also be something that could happen, a trading card game company want to use that to, promote the trading card game product that they created and things like that. And like I was saying, that's why like I just felt that really, as much as I wanted to say that, I'm giving everything I got to the trading card game, I'm not holding back, but I felt more or less it's just those things break out. I have, what, it's really hard for me to stay, what I'm saying, about not holding back and giving everything I got. And nevertheless, November 2001, hearing me telling the trading card game players about getting into intermission, I felt maybe that's where some of the arguments broke out. It's like, what's going on and things like that. It's like, I mean, not trying to really criticize Lance or anything, but Lance really did took that step. I remember he just went through some of the table scoop with some trading card game into a pile in his hand and handed it to me. Is it you don't have enough cards and things like that? And anyway, then, well, in June 2004, like the tournament coordinator told me that the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in the UTC mall have discontinued it. So it's like, I don't know, maybe is it what happened on November 2001, because I told the players that I want to get into an intermission. And is it kind of payback, kind of like, is it payback, it's like, like on June 2004, the tournament coordinator was telling me that the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament have discontinued. I don't know, maybe because it's a payback, because there were a lot of players got disappointed or like felt discouraged it because of what I said on November 2001. That's why June 2004 happened. There's these arguments, it's like, anyway, back to what I'm saying. Pretty much, me, Du, and Jason had like 2 semesters in the San Diego Mesa College together, like, and then they went back to what they were doing. And I don't know, like, pretty much. And I, like, pretty much just want to tell them that, I'm studying, like the multimedia, but I'm not like those web designer that designed it, Sega, the Sega website, it's like those, it's sort of like, it's so that they can make that distinction, to know where I'm at, because the way, like at the trading card game tournament, because I've been getting first places and seeing that, might think that, it's like my website gonna be even better than the Sega company website. It's just like, so I want to make that distinction. Just because I've been getting first places in the trading card game doesn't mean like everything I get into is like better than other companies and things like that. It's like I'm just saying, aiming to my website, I'm aiming to meet the deadline and also get a passing grade. It's like not gonna compare with the Sega company website and things like that. So I, in a way, those 2 semesters with Du and Jason, I felt they able to see that, so lighten up some of the weights is, like, felt in general, felt a lot of weights is expecting everything I get into, or like, how I compete in the trading card game tournament, or like those first places and things like that. Nevertheless, pretty much there was a multimedia club. I don't know like how it all started and everything. It was just one day the multimedia instructors Alfonso Sabata and Karen Owen, those two multimedia instructors, they told me about it and also recommend me to be part of it, since been also wanted to have some kind of multimedia association. So they recommend me to go to the Mesa College Multimedia Club, and like I'm saying, and it was just, this is about around the time where Jason and Do just kind of like in a way have you know been telling them about the multimedia class, and they have came for like 2 semester with me and things like that, and felt like maybe this is another step, to have more association with the multimedia, and maybe could even not be afraid of the bigger project, of the multimedia bigger project and things like that. And anyway, so I went with those two instructor, Alfonso Cervera and Karen Owen, recommendation slash suggestion, and went to be part of the multimedia club. And it was just not like months later, got an email from the club president, the Mesa College Multimedia Club president Joe, and about the club's gonna be discontinued if there is no one else with, like they want me to be the next club president, and also it is the only way for the club to continue on. Like I'm saying, it was just doing this is so pretty much this is where like our like the separation pretty much, like felt like I have to put more time into putting responsibility and duty as club president, and keep the multimedia club active, and well and it's like, and about our goal, like we've been also having a lot of struggle with our goals, as me, Do, and Jason, like our goal on try to have some multimedia in our goal, and now this happened, and like I don't know, like I really didn't know what if it worked out, really did have some sort of multimedia connection as club president of the Mesa College Multimedia Club. I don't know, like it's saying, just more or less as a club president of the Mesa College Multimedia Club could say, I'm looking for some multimedia connection. More or less, people would give me some some approval and to it and things like that. Anyway, coincidentally, during this period of time at the Mesa College campus, there were multimedia contests, and the winner wins the grand prize, which are like expensive prices, that like computer software that you have to, you buy, it's really expensive and things like that. So about, there is multimedia contest and multimedia club and things like that, and being elected as it's a club president of the multimedia club, and it's the same time they have multimedia contest at the Mesa College campus. And but if I don't take on this responsibility and duty as the club president, this means that the club have to discontinue, and which will have a hammer to the Multimedia Association. I don't know. I think now looking back, I should have talked with you and Jason about it. Like got elected as club president. I felt because we were still doing our thing and having our schedule and a goal together and everything, and all of a sudden, just one day, going with those two multimedia instructor recommendation, those two multimedia instructor, Alfonso Savetta and Karen Owen recommendation, and went to the multimedia club as much as I can, like just making time in my schedule to be there to improve my chances of having like improve my multimedia associations. It all happened really fast, and then all of a sudden I got elected as club president and left with no choice that I have to carry on this responsibility and duty, or else the club have to discontinue. And so I don't know, like I don't know how to explain to them, it's like I don't know, like I think like was just going with the positive thoughts and being optimistic, and then like being a club president of the Mesa College Multimedia Club would enable me to find some connections, like in connection in general, even though like it would be more on the multimedia field, but connection in general, and would these connection would help out our goal and things like that. I felt that's pretty much like my positive thoughts and being optimistic at the time, and and I like I'm saying, and it also would help out the college campus in general, like to have a club and continue having the club, and also continue having the multimedia association. Like I'm saying, that it is pretty much, like it is a tough decision. Felt looking back right now, pretty much want to maybe talk with Du and Jason about it before making this decision, because we're on the same goal at the time. It's like I think it's the connection and funds is, it's like we just so happened that very first semester as club president got a major production, like with the fashion club, the Mesa College Fashion Club, doing a fashion show. So in that production, so like even though like it's all club activities and things like that, but it was a pretty major, pretty big event. Have a lot of people showed up and things like that, and remember like toward the end, like the Alfonso Sabetta's saying that the fashion club gave the multimedia club a paycheck, like I think it's like around $400 for helping out and things like that. And I think after some deduction and everything, and tax and deduction and all the other fees and everything, it come down to like around $200. And then the advisor of the Mesa College Multimedia Club, Alfonso Sabera, told me that I could take half of that and have, do for the multimedia club funds and things like that, since I put out a lot of work into helping out them in that production and things like that. And anyway, like I was saying, I was didn't kind of like, in a way, it was because the Mesa College Multimedia Club was discontinued. That's why I went with the election as being elected as club president, so that it doesn't discontinue. It wasn't really because of that $100 from the fund, from the production. It's just like, okay, anyway, I paused the video to relocate to the lodge area, because the kitchen area is too much noise in there that might not hear me as well. And okay, anyway, I'm gonna continue where I left off. So pretty much, I was there. I went with the being elected as club president because I don't want the club to discontinue. So pretty much, I told Alfonso Sabera that I'm just gonna put all the $200 in the club funds. Instead of taking half, even though he told me that I deserve half of it because I put up the most effort on that production, and I also did the most work also, and so nevertheless, I put all $200 to the club funds, and was just hoping that the club would continue on, after no longer serving as club president, things like that. Anyway, I felt maybe that's the misunderstanding, maybe just because right away there was that major production. That, I think, pretty much that was like the only time that I could have maybe made some money, have some money from being a club president, was that $100. Other than that, really, we didn't really have, I try to come up with some fundraising at the same time. I don't want to, have a fundraising and not make any funds, and would kind of bring the club down, especially, the club is at that borderline of being discontinued and things like that. And so that's why I was being very careful about the fundraising and certain activity that require too much fun and things like that. So have to watch these things, it's like, in general, I thought after I'm done my service as club president, would overall, rank up my status, that I got elected as club president. I served at my terms, and I felt afterward, overall, maybe during the service, I could also make some connections and have some connections in my life also, and things like that. So I felt maybe afterward, then told talk with Du and Jason about it, my reason, and I felt they probably would accept my reasons as, why I went with being elected as club president, things like that. So, look at it in a positive way and being optimistic about it and things like that. But I think that's where we got separate, kind of like, in a way, I think that's where the separation started. It's like, didn't tell them about being elected as club president. Then one day, just bring up that topic about being elected as club president, and it's like, they just didn't expect it and things like that. And nevertheless, I really did try to bring up that topic on trading card game during the club activities as club president, but I felt it's just really hard, at the time. It just maybe should have made a survey first, something like that. Like I'm saying, it was just looking for opportunity, but at the same time, the club was at the borderline of being discontinued slash inactive. It's like I think discontinue would be like, I don't know, like pretty much that's the word that was being used more often than inactive. It's more like on discontinue, but I felt could also be saying like inactive slash discontinue, things like that. So pretty much like because of that reason, I have to avoid topic on trading card game or surveys, and nevertheless didn't get a chance to talk about, like bring up, maybe that's what I was trying to look for, like some connection, or just get to have some connection in general. Remember, and nevertheless, toward the end of on the like around my 4 years as club president, remember decided to, take the step. Felt like the video game development was part of the multimedia. That's one of the um the department in the multimedia is the video game development. And so remember, like, it's just because it doesn't have in the descriptions of the multimedia club, it doesn't have trading card game, so I just didn't want to, you know change the description of the custom. It's like that's how it's been like the multimedia club. And so kind of like just during my 4 years went with the video game development by creating flyers for a video game tournament. Just trying to see how this turned out. And like I'm saying, got a list of students who signed up for this. And nevertheless, got that list of students who signed up. And so the next step was like, looking for pretty much, like I was saying, that if you sign up, it mean you would go with our kind of like like giving consents to our event, like make our event possible and things like that. So by putting your name on the list and things like that, and giving us a good chance of able to have this video game tournament and things like that. So I went around the Mesa College campus talking with some of the students, and I got a list, a whole list of students who willing to put their name on the list and things like that. And so anyway, like so the next step would be like, looking for a computer lab, that able to carry on, like, have a video game tournament and things like that. And there was a few computer lab that was available for us to use, but like after looking through the spec of the computer, we were just saying that there was not enough processor and RAM to compete like having a video game tournament, because you need powerful processor and a lot of memory, like high memory RAMs. Otherwise it wouldn't be accepted as a video game tournament. You really have to have those things to consider as a video game tournament and things like that. Like I'm saying, I just didn't want to, have carried the multimedia club for 4 years, keeping it active for 4 years. Didn't want this event to kind of bring it down, things like that. Even though I got that list, like of student who gave me that consent about carrying on about a video game tournament and things like that. Basically, just like it was like 2 computer lab that was available for us to use, and so look through the RAM and processor on those computers. Couldn't, like saying I didn't want this video game tournament to bring us down. We come so far already, from being discontinued to continue on as for 4 years already. And I think the criticisms and argument is just a lot of talks about, and there's really not much I got out of it. Where my connections and where my funds. Like, okay, it's the large area got kind of noisy and everything, and so I kind of relocate back to the kitchen. Okay, so I'm gonna continue where I left off. Anyway, so I was talking about basically the 4 years at being elected as serving as club president would probably argue as a mistake. Like I shouldn't have. I made a mistake, and it really hurt me a lot, and this mistake really hurt me a lot, and things like that. And okay, anyway, there's a lot of noise in the kitchen, so relocate back to the large area. Okay, so I'm gonna continue where I left off. So pretty much I'm saying, couldn't bring up the topic trading card game during that 4 years of time. Video game tournament was, I thought maybe after the video tournament event, but it couldn't follow through with that event. And that was during my last year of club president also, and the computer wasn't powerful enough and don't have enough memory for a video game tournament. And those 2 computer lab that was available for us to use, and I like just connection in general. Like I was saying, just having some connection in general. Remember, instead of saying that, I've been to the Sega website and have sent email to the web server administrators of the Sega website and things like that. Instead of making these claims, and I don't know, like, Dude and Jason, they sometimes really surprise, me with, like the connections they have and things like that. Maybe I thought I could, in a change, maybe show them that I did also make some connection being elected as club president, but really just couldn't really. It just kind of like, in a way, it would argue as a mistake, that I got elected as club president, instead of maybe we could surprise them, maybe with finally there's a change, like did make some connection, and things like that. And I think also because that could also be, like use this mistake to go against my goal, my trading card game goals. So I felt this is the time, where the separation got really serious, and the goal, including our goal, have got problems as in general against our goal, our trading card game goals. And like I'm saying, and remember I was just so devastated about the whole thing, and kind of like in a way thinking that maybe, like in general, like keep, maybe I would defend myself that I did try, like try to look for a the, not too much awkward to bring up trading card game, because it would really be even create more problems, if I bring up trading card game and create a lot of awkwardness, then it ruined the whole point of wanted to talk about the trading card game and things like that. So like I want to defend myself with, I did really during that 4 year time been trying really hard to bring up that topic on trading card game. The closest I got was a video game tournament. That was the closest I got, and the computer wasn't even powerful enough or have enough memory for a video game tournament. Pretty much that was my way of able to deal with the devastation that was in my life, and remember, so that don't have to be so harsh on myself for that 4 year time serving as club president. Okay, anyway, it's already been over 2 hours already. It's about 2 hours and about around 1 minute already. So I have to wrap up this video, this today PTTS session video. Pretty much like I'm saying, just saying that just in general, I just want to say that it's really devastating to say that it was a mistake to be elected as club president, and then I just don't want the misunderstanding to continue on, that I got pay for being elected as club president. It was just during that very first semester as being elected as club president, there was that major production with the fashion club, and the fashion club gave us like around, like, from what I heard, it's from the advisor Alfonso Cervera, that there was like around $400, but after some deduction and everything, it's like around $200 left, and told me that I could take half of that, so I basically could get like $100 from that production. But that was like the only time, like in that 4 years of time, and it was that very first semester. In other words, I really didn't get paid, like it wasn't a regular paying job as being elected as club president. Also, there was, like I was saying, there was that discontinuation of the club if I didn't win with being elected as a club. And in general, felt like being a club president of the Mason College Multimedia Club would have some connect, maybe throughout the process, maybe find some connections and things like that, and it would also overall, like bring up my status, getting elected as club president and served it for 4 years. So I felt, at the time, felt could maybe get something out of that, instead of being devastated by it or saying that it is a mistake and things like that. But anyway, I think that's what really also that I want to point out was the separations, like me, Do, and Jason, like we have the same goal at the time, so right now, like so hard, trying to just, like do, for a few days. He only gave me like 20 minutes of, it was like 2 sessions of around, almost just around 20 minutes. That's all he could. And wouldn't, like I'm saying, just felt maybe because of that separations we have, it's like right now, like, and thinking like, I was planning maybe if we could, me, Do, and Jason could sit together and make a video where we talk about trading card game and our experience in general, all those years of time, like competing in the trading card game tournament, and following the trading card game activities, and in general our experience, talking about it in general, just felt that is, keep getting farther and farther away. It's just like, yet it seems so not too much to ask. It's just, it's part of our lives. Trading card game, we grow up with trading card game, and it's been in our life for a long time, and so it felt it shouldn't be something too hard to do. It's just part of our life and everything, yet it's keep getting farther and farther away. And so I think it all because of 2008 when I got elected as club president. It's all because of that. It's that separations. Yet I felt, if Do and Jason give me a chance to explain about it, maybe we could talk it out, maybe see what it really was like back then. I don't know, like, I just keep vibing this argument. It's like we had it going so well, why have to just ruin it by being elected as club president, and ruin all of this, our bond that we share, our goal and bond, that that affiliation we had going so well and everything. So it just, that argument just been bothering me. It's like I was saying earlier, even after meeting Omar, and we still keep it together and everything. I think it's just because it's just really starting to be really hard for us to keep it together and everything, and just, but yet we able to continue on, like with the planning we had, with the schedule we had, and the, like the affiliations as a group, that pretty much that civil and diplomacy, living together and sharing, basically all of that, like we had that, and is what able us to continue on. And as much as we want to avoid certain things that might get in our way and things like that, but we, like we're saying, I mean, like, we didn't mean to pick on Omar or anything, but it just so happened he could have able to jeopardize us and things like that, and he's our classmate. We can't just ignore him and things like that. Anyway, like I'm just saying, pretty much, so like I'm saying, a chance for us to really get together and talk about what really going on, just, I felt, just one side, just keep hearing on my side, and don't even know what Do and Jason is going on with their life, and could they even, have they even, like, I don't know, like, especially, like, it was seeing Jason, the first few years, Jason, it was really, he have switched from trading card game to poker Texas Hold'em poker, and he was doing okay in the beginning, and then he had a really devastated, like really tough loss. Like lost everything he had. And I remember during that time, I had a really major like devastation too. Like the being serving 4 years as club president had very devastated me, and hearing about Jason had this big loss in his life, and wanted to help him out. But my services, I didn't really get anything out of it and things like that. I called Jason up, asked him how he's doing and things like that. And just being trying to ask if there's any way I could help him out and things like that. But like then later on he told me that his uncle have a bike shop, so his uncle hired him to work at a bike shop for his uncle and things like that. And I felt, but maybe he could recover from that, maybe since it's a family shop and things like that. And Jason was telling me that he's, after he recovered from this, he's gonna go back at it and being smart about it and things like that. And so at this point, it's really hard for me to bring up the trading card game to talk with Jason, be so committed to the poker, Texas Hold'em, and everything. So it's like, but it's just really hard to think about it, just because the poker, Texas Hold'em was so. It was really like there was like a phenomenon in San Diego on the poker, Texas Hold'em. Like bars would host poker tournaments, and like we kind of just went with the phenomenon in San Diego. So like we would start hosting poker tournament in our houses, my house and Jason's house. And so we were really also really into poker at the time, just to go with the San Diego phenomenon that was going on. And don't want to go against the current. This is what is happening in San Diego. You have to go with it and things like that. Like I'm saying, it's just so, I don't know, it's really hard for me to, on June 2000, like I was saying earlier, on June 2004, when the trading card game tournament coordinator told me that the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament have discontinued it. And they apologized to me. It's like keep seeing me here a lot and things like that. And I don't know, like at this point I just starting to, 2004, I was around 18 and 19 years old. I felt maybe is it like there is a, maybe because trading card game they haven't set a age, maybe because they don't want to tell me that I'm too old to play trading card game, but they haven't set an age yet. It's like it's trading card game only for a certain age. Like you're saying, these things haven't established it. And so like I'm saying, just, but at the same time, vibing what's going on, why is it happening? Why did the trading card game tournament coordinator telling me that? It's like, and why is it poker Texas Hold'em is so at the same time, as the trading card game tournament is discontinuing, and the poker Texas Hold'em is rising, and it's a phenomenon in San Diego. So maybe there is, like I'm saying, I think it really depends on, you just have to go with how, like for me, I go with how I that's what I grow up with. Trading card game is I grow up with trading card game, and it's been providing trading card game enthusiasm, doing trading card game pioneers, has been committing to trading card game. It's like, you know, and as for like about let's just say you tell a person who work in the casino, like that he is that's not work, because there's only a few states that allow casino and things like that. Just telling that person that it's not gonna make that person really happy about his job and things like that. It's like, and it's like, and then he have to explain to you that my father have to went through so much trouble to train me to have all these connections so that I could go through all this training to work at a casino. And why are you telling me all of this for? It's like, why are you purposely trying to ruin my life? After what my father have went through for me to able to work at the casino and things like that. Just that's part of someone's life. It's just how they were raised, how they were brought up, and you just can't change it. Just like that's how I've been growing up with the trading card game. And it's just like, what, he's gonna make the whole San Diego have no acknowledgement of trading card games. It's gonna change my life. It's not gonna change my life. It's like, it is really upsetting. It's like, after my father have went through so much trouble to have some connection so that I could be able to be in the casino and working in the casino, and then you're telling me that there's only a few states that allow casino and creating all these problems just to my life. Basically just using this example as an example. It's just like, you you're making that person going through a very tough time. He felt like maybe his father have saved him from all this trouble, and finally he able to settle down with a job to be working in the casino, and all of a sudden hearing all this criticism against him is not gonna make, it's just like, so you just have to go with you know what you have, like, and part of what you were raised up with and brought up with, and things like that. Like, I grow up with trading card game, and those are my memories of the trading card game and the events in my life that related to the trading card game. It's just pretty much the same. Like, I just use a casino because there is certain state doesn't allow casino and things like that, so I just use that as an example. And especially like Jason, he, even though like San Diego did allow casino and things like that, but I remember Jason told me that he preferred the casino in Las Vegas. So like, remember, he had to occasionally drive up to Las Vegas, live in the hotel, and to continue on pursuing a career in the poker, Texas Hold'em, and things like that. And like, in general, it might seem like a lot of work and things like that, but I felt that's what that's part of his life. That's what he grew up with and things like that. So it's like, like, for a period of time, Steve Decker, who has been coming over to my house uninvited. I mean, didn't give me any notice and things like that. And remember, and just keep wondering what I'm doing. So like, I remember one time I brought Steve to the trading card game tournament, which at the time was around 2004. So the trading card game tournament I brought him to is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game. So like, I remember then inside the trading card game tournament, then I told him that, what is trading card game, kind of like, in a way, instead of, him making fun of trading card game or creating awkwardness to my life because I brought up trading card game and things like that. I mean, he's surrounded by trading card games, so in a way, it make it hard for him to do that. It's like the same with Jason. So, but Jason know me since middle school years and things like that, and also we've been having the same goal on trading card game for a long time. So, remember when Jason told me about his plan on the traveling to Las Vegas and living in the hotel and all of that, it's like I wasn't acting like Steve, creating problems as to Jason's life, it's like, giving him compliments that he is, on his goal, and okay, anyway, I paused the video because my younger brother Duhong came over, so I bought him this present, this French cookie present for his trouble for the last 2 days that I've been asking him if he could, give me a chance to explain what happened back then and things like that. And so anyway, he told me that he'll pick it up on Monday because he already packed in his car that he needed to go camping somewhere, and so I think was unable to give him that present. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. So I was just saying that it's just, so Jason was telling me that he, okay, anyway, I'm gonna pause this video for a second. Okay, anyway, I have to relocate back to the lodge because there's a lot of sound, a lot of noise in the kitchen area. Okay, so I'm gonna continue where I left off. So basically, after Jason told me about his plan on how he can pursue his poker Texas Hold'em career, I remember I just trying to look some word that would help him out. I mean, I hear his story about the time and he had that devastating loss and lost a lot, and he have to start over from his working at his uncle bicycle shop and things like that. So I was being very careful to find some word that would help him out. This is like his second chance and things like that. And I remember hearing Jason talk a lot about, going to school in casino and having a job working at the casino a lot. So I remember hearing Jason talk a lot about that, and he really didn't follow through with it. It's like instead he's pursuing pursuing in the poker Texas Hold'em, a career in that. And so yet he talked a lot about, it would have been really nice, because he's pursuing this career, felt like, because he's so close to poker Texas Hold'em, especially if he work in a poker room, he got this job going through all this school, casino school, and then working in the poker room, and he's so close to the poker Texas Hold'em. It felt like, would have been like he's having a career in poker Texas Hold'em. So remember Jason talked a lot about that, and pretty much like a dealer, like someone who deal out card in the poker room for the players in the table and things like that. So it felt something like that. I felt, he felt like that would be like a really nice job to have. I remember Jason did talk a lot, and I felt my father also, my father Chung Wan Lam, he also did talk a lot about working in the casino. He felt like his adopted son and nephew who had became general manager, who pretty much general manager is like the person who in charge of the whole casino, like all the different department and everything. So he'd say like he had adopted son and nephew who are like general manager of the casino, and like my father had been growing up hearing those stories of my father talking about those, like those, telling us those stories as I was growing up. So it felt like it would have been kind of like maybe that was, I felt because casino have a lot of security guard and a lot of security camera and everything. So it felt like, you know, a very stabilized career and things like that. And I would just say, in general, I think it just really depends on how a person see the career. Like to my father, that has been like a goal, you know, to work in a casino. It's like a goal to achieve. And growing up hearing my father telling those story, and also Jason, you know, who also saying that, you know, working in a casino would have been a really nice job to have and things like that. And on the other hand, you know, it would be very contradicted hearing that I have served 4 years as club president and got nothing out of it, and felt like, you know, it's just, it was really stupid in a way. You know, it's like, how come you're growing up hearing all those stories about working in the casino and everything, and how come you served 4 years as club president and got nothing out of it and things like that. And anyway, that's why I kind of want to explain how this election, you know, being elected as club president, that's why in this video I was explaining about why I served it as 4 years and my reason behind it and everything. So anyway, to clear this misunderstanding, you know, like my life, how I grow up, and the stories have been told to me and things like that. And so anyway, like it's saying, you know, it's just, you just have to really, you know, like a chance, you know, like you just go, you know, trading card game is what I grow up with, and it's been in my life, and it's the lifestyle that I have lived and things like that. And I felt, you know, maybe at the wrong place at the wrong time, it could be very devastating and things like that, and have a lot of awkwardness and everything. But at the right place at the right time, you know, it could be a very fulfilling career to have and things like that. I think it's the same with like Texas poker, Texas Hold'em, like Jason talking about, and the same with working in casino. I think all of those have to be, you know, certain place, certain time, because at certain state, you can, casino is illegal, like in certain states is, and like in San Diego, you know, like only certain region in San Diego allow casino. And even though there's eight casino in San Diego, but only certain area would allow casino. And at Las Vegas, you know, that's where, like, you know, it's more legally, you know, like you could have casino in Las Vegas. So like, you know, so these sort of occupation just have to be at the right place at right time. And you know, it's just like, it's it's not a more openly discussed occupation, you know, because certain state doesn't allow casino, you know, it's legalized casino and things like that. So like I'm saying, just because, like, and also it's just my experience in general that I have run into, that I have to overcome, you know, the adversities that dealing with the trading card game in general and things like that. And so so pretty much that's how I correlated with the casino. Felt like certain state doesn't allow casino and things like that. So my correlation is that, you know, at the wrong place, the wrong time, trading card game could be like casino in the illegalized state and things like that. But yet, trading card game is what I grow up with. It's my lifestyle and things like that. So just, you know, I wanted to be like more like on Jason, because of hearing Jason's story about how, especially that time, that period of time when he lost a lot in his life because of continue on pursuing on it, poker Texas Hold'em, remember? So it felt, like, I mean, I did have my experiences that I felt that considered as adversities of because of continue on with what I grow up with and my lifestyle. Have the the trading card game, occupation in my life and things like that. And okay, so pretty much for now, I'm just gonna go with what I say. Like in the at the beginning of the video, it's saying that I'm gonna take a step back from all of this and pretty much my independent company PTTS and my trading card game development, CTC, Crown Trading Card Game Championship. It's all because of, just wanting to continue on with having trading card game in my life and things like that. And I don't know, like I was saying, like maybe hearing Jason's stories about how he lost a lot on the poker Texas Hold'em maybe might not be as serious as Jason's story. I don't know, like depend on how you want to see it and things like that. And like I was saying, just want to keep it at, that's what I grow up with. It's like the trading card game is what I grow up with, and it's like the lifestyle that I have accepted. It's like it's just the same with, like if you talk to a person who work in a casino, just like why work in a casino when you know that certain state doesn't allow casino and things like that. And he'll probably explain to you the same way. That's the lifestyle they have accepted, and that's what they grow up with and things like that. It's like pretty much it's just because my father had been telling a lot of stories about his adopted son and nephew who's a general manager of the casino, and Jason's been telling about how great the job is to be working in the casino, and especially in the poker room, dealing out cards and being around poker Texas Hold'em all the time. And that's something that he's been pursuing and things like that. Anyway, like I was saying, maybe let's just say a really bad plays at really bad time, and someone would make that argument. What if the whole San Diego, all the people in San Diego won't acknowledge trading card game? What then? Will you still continue on saying that is part of your life, and that is what you grow up with, and that's the lifestyle you accepted and things like that? Anyways, like for now, I just don't want to continue on with those with the whole trading card game. For now, just take a step back from all of that. And like I was saying earlier, that I want to focus on the recertification applications for the Cow Flash, and applying for the cash aid, and also looking for a job. For now, I'm going to focus on that and take a step back from that. Maybe one day people will give me a chance to talk about the trading card game and what happened back then and things like that. Okay, so for thank you for following PTTS. Thank you for following PTTS. Thank you for joining PTTS. I'm going to end this video in 3. Okay, let me just like I just want to add one more thing before I end this video. So it's getting really low. Like there's only like the battery is like less than 5%. So it's about to this phone's about to like also it's already past 2 hours and 30 minutes. So just gonna add one last thing. So if I have anything I want to add to this video, I will add to the next video. Okay, so thank you for following PTTS. Thank you for joining PTTS. I'm gonna end this video in 3, 2, 1.